The baseball season is over, man. You gotta let it go. You have to let it go. Yeah, I know. But again, hockey continues, right? Yeah. The Leafs have started out like, the universe is unfolding as it should. Okay, let it go. Sorry, Blue Jays fans. Welcome to season 3, episode, I think we're at 38 by now, of Niagara 411 Live with Sterry. Yes, we have kind of a cloudy day, but it keeps my eyes from watering if they're covered up for a bit. So anyway, as per usual, we are fueled by Gale's Gas Bars. We are powered by WeeStreem. We're supported by Verge Insurance Group as well. We are going to be heading into this beautifully and warm ensconced Fiddler's Poorhouse. So we thank them for hosting us again. So, we're going to be, actually, we've got sort of a bunch of fishy stories for you today. That's a bit of a play on words. I apologize. So, there was a really weird theft at a store in Beamsville, a fish and chip shop, actually. And we're going to have the owner of the fish and chip shop on in about 20 minutes or so, but we're going to start the program by showing you this video that, well, the video will explain itself. I don't think I can describe it. And we'll be doing that in about 30 seconds as episode 38 of season 3 of Niagara 411 Live with Sterry comes your way on somewhat of a rainy, damp, and dank Thursday. Still fairly warm outside, though. We'll be right back, okay? And again, welcome in to Niagara 411 Live with Sterry. Ladies and gentlemen, at the bottom right of your screen, our colleague and executive producer from WeeStreem, Kevin. Kevin, good day.
Yeah, good day to you as well, Lee.
What we're going to start off with here, as I mentioned, is this video. You're going to see this guy at the counter of this restaurant. It's a Beamsville Fish and Chips, as you see on the screen. Well, he's a skip the dishes driver, okay? And he's there ostensibly to pick up a dinner. And so he can skip on over to the people who are going to skip the dishes, and they've ordered fish and chips. Well, let's just play it, and then we'll run through it again. All right, there's the front counter. In he comes, got his little padded, heat containing sack there. It'll keep the cold stuff cold and the hot stuff hot, And so, okay, there's the order. Into the bag it goes. All very normal, oh, what's this? Did you see what he did? Okay. This guy picks up the tip jar from the other side of the till computer screen.
Yeah, so there's
and takes
his order.
It with him.
So first, right now, he's grabbing his order.
He pours the money, and then, I'll just take the whole jar. All right, so there we go. Got that, and I forgot to take this. Let's take that. This looks like he does this every day. It's just something simple, and off he goes, and off into the sunshine. Now, one would think that this would be pretty easy to nail this guy. Not so, and I'm not going to spill the beans yet, because Nicol, the owner of Beamsville Fish and Chips, is going to be joining us at about 12:20 on the show today. And he's going to tell us the background of this and where we are, and it's just not how you would think life is supposed to go. But anyway, That's all I can say.
No, but that was a crazy story, Lee, because everybody in the comments thought exactly what you and I would think. Like, well, okay, he's a Skip delivery guy, so you must know his name. So, or contact Skip, they know his name, and then connect the dots, hand it over to NRP, and it's...
The guy should be easy to corral.
Apparently it doesn't work like that.
Not so.
But in 15 minutes, as you mentioned, Steven's going to join us.
Yep.
And he just let us know before the show that he thinks they got the guy.
Yeah. So we'll be able to take this story from the womb to the tomb, as they say. All right? Also joining us today, 12:45, is St. Catharines Fire Chief Dave Upper. And we're smack dab in the middle of Fire Prevention Week here in Niagara. And the fire department gave us a shout and asked if it would be all right if Chief Upper joined us to chat about that. And we said, hey, absolutely. That's what this whole thing is about, this Niagara 411 Live thing. He was going to be joining us at 12:45. At 1:10, Dave Gilchrist is going to be here, and he is a member of the Niagara Diving Association. He's a scuba diver, and we'll talk about some of his interesting finds that you may not have been aware of and might be surprised by. That'll be coming up at about 1:10 today. Our musical guest is going to be A Sea of Gold and Burgundy. That's the name of the band. Very, very well thought out name. I don't know how they came up with it, but it obviously means something to them. A Sea of Gold and Burgundy, and their song "Ghosts in These Walls."
And Lee, we can actually tease the David thing a little bit here because he's also got a video. So this was the video that brought us to him, and I didn't know that there were like kind of shipwrecks or things under the water. I think this is at the Welland Scuba
Now, you
Park.
said it was in the Welland Wreck Canal?
I think so, right at the Lincoln Street docks. That's usually where they dive, although we'll find out more from David.
I didn't even know the water was deep enough there to have shipwrecks down there. But again, we're not the experts, so we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I honestly look at this and go, well, that's not Welland.
Yeah.
But I guess it is.
There we go. Pretty clear. That is an underwater camera. As you know, like if you go underwater and you open your eyes, it's not that easy to see things clearly. But that's clearer than any store surveillance camera that we've seen on this show. That's crystal, Kevin. That's really good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So interested if he's a member of the Niagara Divers Association, so I'm sure he dives all over the place. But
yeah, sure.
Interested to find out what they have right here in Welland.
And
it's cool. It's an old car down there.
I'm also going to ask him because this is a cool place to be a diver. There's so many bodies of water around and so many different things to explore. A friend of mine actually became a scuba diver, took the lessons and
is that a sub?
And the whole bit. Well, that's what it looks like.
Now, did you see the guy?
Why would we have that?
Did you see the guy cheating down there?
Cheating?
Yeah. Well, here, take a look.
All right.
He's using one of those.
I'm trying to engage.
He's got like a jetpack. He's got a propeller.
Oh yeah, okay.
That's pulling him around.
Yeah. Well, that's sort of like everyday. That does look like a submarine.
All this is Welland. I mean, it blew me away in the video, which is why I reached out to David.
We're gonna have that explained. That's for sure. And that's Dave Gilchrist joining us approximately 10 after 1 today. I'm going to go back to fish for a second. As I said, we got a lot of fish stories today. Now, here is a post that showed up on Niagara 411. Hey, Nick, by the way. Hope you're doing well. Nick's mom, salutations. So here's a lady that is so frustrated that she doesn't really know what to do and does not really know that this text is or this post is going to do any good. But God bless her, she put it up, and this story is just so low. Not sure what I hope to accomplish with this post, but I'm writing it regardless. I am so upset. My parents live in Beamsville. Beamsville seems to be in the spotlight today too. Near the No Frills, and someone has stolen the fish out of their pond. My parents are seniors on a really tight budget. They've taken years to get their collection of fish built up, as well as the pond equipment. The people who took the fish had to lift that fall netting and place it back. Wild animals could not do this. They first took over 50 fish, leaving only 8, and again, over the weekend, came back to take those fish, the last fish. Like, that's bold and brazen. My parents are so sad. They've invested a lot of money, time, and energy into this pond. And I again, to go to your point, I don't know what you're trying to accomplish, and neither did you. You just obviously felt the need to get it out there, and I'm glad you did, because that must feel horrible. What a low story, Kevin. Who does something like that? And what are they going to do with these exotic? I mean, I don't know how exotic they are, but they're probably some sort of, well, it's a collection. So, you know, varied kind of carp or whatever that, you know, you see in these ponds. And they're probably beautiful fish. And I mean, to go back to the original story, it's not something you do fish and chips with. These are collective, these are collection style animals, I'm assuming, judging by that. I don't know what I'm trying to accomplish by talking about it either, except for the fact that I wanted to get it out there because maybe somebody in Beamsville knows somebody that all of a sudden acquired some pretty cool fish.
Yeah, it's a bizarre story. It jumps off the page. You're like, what?
It does, like 80 fish or whatever, and then there's like, they took 50 and then came back for 8 more. So like a collection of 60 fish almost gone.
And how do you steal fish out of a pond? I mean, do you just net them all up?
You must, I guess.
Do you have a tote? You have a big tote that you...
Again, I don't...
And then where do you bring them to? Like, you have to be prepared on the other end as to, you know, I got to bring these fish somewhere and I got to put them somewhere that they're going to acclimatize to.
Yeah.
And, you know, fish can be very finicky.
I don't know. It's just, it just is so bizarre and sad. 'Cause this has obviously been a long time hobby of these folks.
Now, Lee, you talk about bizarre and sad, and I'm just looking for a story here that I'm going to thrust on you because it's just developing. The NRP just put it out.
Okay.
The NRP did also put out a notification of an arrest made in that missing 74-year-old man that was found deceased.
Yes.
Somebody's been charged with second-degree murder, but I mean, I present this one to you again out of, you know, our hearts are always with trying to bring a family back together, but it looks like once again, Layla Travers has run away from home.
Yeah.
And I don't think you saw this. Just developed this morning.
It just came out this morning. Okay.
There you go. And this is in the area of Port Robinson Road and Cottmire.
Currently conducting that missing person investigation stemming from the city of Feulled. Assigned to 3 District, the detectives of the NRPS searching for Layla Travers, 14 years old, believed to have left home in the area of Port Robinson Road and Cottmire Road in the city of Feulled on the 11th.
So that would have been overnight Monday into Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
So.
14-year-old white girl,
5
foot 4 inches tall, thin build, shoulder-length blonde hair, as you saw. Her nose is pierced. Both the police and Layla's family are concerned, obviously, for her welfare. And as Kevin said, that missing man, 74-year-old man from, was it Fort Erie, Kevin?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. And they have arrested someone in connection with that crime, and there's the notice from NRPS there. They're continuing to investigate, but it says on Wednesday, yesterday, 4 p.m., homicide detectives, assisted by members of the Fort Erie Detective Services Branch, arrested a male in relation to the incident. As a result of this investigation, 38-year-old Curtis Desjardins, of no fixed address, is charged with the following offenses: second-degree murder, indignity to a human body. Desjardins currently being held in custody pending a bail hearing, which is going to be happening today. Detectives would like to thank everybody for their assistance in this story.
And the comments, Lee, I found them interesting.
Yeah, people out there know more about the background of these people in this story. The Sun called it, hope they can finally get some closure. Such a terrible, sad situation. Condolences to the family. So glad you got the guy. I wish he would suffer like the family. So sad he doesn't deserve to live, but he will. Some very, very strong emotions about this story. Wish we had the death penalty or even lashings. I feel so bad for the family. This is a horrible situation to go through. Our condolences to Desi's family and friends. I can't believe that he was just arrested yesterday and he may get out today. Total BS. Start serving your 10 years to life now. Condolences to the family, of course. Very sorry for your loss, etc. And as I said, Kevin, there are obviously people that are close to this family and maybe know this no fixed address dude, Desjardins, but I don't know. Anyway. And yes, it does seem so often that the time doesn't suit the crime. That's kind of the society we're living in, and a lot of us, or a lot of people in general, have a feeling that justice, first of all, is not swift and often not appropriate in some people's minds. But those are the laws that we live by. That's the code that the lawyers and the judges and the courts and the politicians and the government follow. And that's until somebody changes the laws, if they're so inclined, that's what we have. And that's where we stand. We are a society of laws. And without those, anarchy reigns, and that's not something you want either. Kevin, speaking of laws and rules and regulations, one wonders how some right-wing, alt-right, that's the other phrase that I was looking at, media people. And I don't like media bashing as a rule because it's been my life for many, many years. But there are, as they say, there's one bad apple in every basket, I guess. Now, there's a guy by the name of Alex Jones. He is a right-wing, alt-right talk show host, if you will, of a show that comes out of Arlington, Texas. And you may or may not remember this, but you will remember the name Sandy Hook, where one of those terrible mass shootings, if not one of the worst mass shootings ever in the United States. Conspiracy theorist Alex Jones has been ordered to pay almost $1 billion with a B dollars to families who suffered from his false claim that the Sandy Hook elementary school shooting was a hoax. A jury in Connecticut decided this just yesterday, and I wanted to bring it up because it was so fresh, it was so new, and some closure. There's that word that it gets tossed around too freely, I think, but some sense from the families. Now, I don't know whether they'll ever see a cent of it because the Jones lawyers and the Jones camp are going to be appealing the decision, and he says there isn't that much money to be had. Well, we don't know that for sure, but where I wanted to go with this, Kevin, and I don't want to make a big deal out of the media angle, except for the fact there are some people that have been in the media, and he's one of them, that say things that I would never be able to say. I would never be able to have some of these things come out of my mouth. As long as I've been around the media, and as much as it's hype and he's trying to get an audience and whatever it is, it's unforgivable that, there are people there, it's like it was faked video, he says. Everything was made up by the anti-gun lobby. And pardon? Really? You must, and there are real families suffering real horrendous loss ever since that day. And this guy says it's all a hoax. Like the Holocaust was a hoax.
Never landed on the moon, Lee.
Well, no, of course, we all know that. But, no, sorry, not to make light of it. But anyway, the Sandy Hook decision did come down yesterday, almost $1 billion. And they went into detail as to how it would be apportioned to the different families. It's not just going to be split equally. I guess they have some way that they've decided to split this up, if it ever comes. And when the appeal process gets going, we could all be long gone by the time any of that ever gets resolved. All right. Joining us on the program, as promised, is Stephen Nicol. He's the owner of Beamsville Fish and Chips, and we showed you that video right off the top of the program. And it happened at their Welland location. A Skip the Dishes driver stole his staff's tips. It doesn't look like the first time he did it. No, it doesn't, does it? It's so casual. But it won't be the last. As of right now, he is still employed regardless of our video. The police were contacted the day of, and we have pressed charges. We don't have his name. Now, there is an update on that, but I want to bring Stephen in here. Hey, Stephen, how are you? Nice to meet you.
Good, how are you?
I'm great, thank you very much. Now, you've got how many locations of Beamsville Fish and Chips?
We've got 3 locations.
Okay, so you have Beamsville, Welland, of course, and where's the other one? Oops.
I just froze there for a second. The other one is in St. Catharines.
Okay.
Right at
pause there.
Yeah, we got you back now.
Okay,
Stephen.
we've got you back. So,
Okay.
Stephen, even though we've seen the video, walk through your experience, and you've obviously dealt with Skip the Dishes before, and you've trusted the people because you left the order out on the counter. None of your staff was at the front desk. So walk us through your story and bring us up to date to today.
Okay, so there was an employee that was in the front, and she had greeted him as he came in.
Oh.
But she was also cooking an order in the back. So as the timer went off in the back, she just went back and proceeded to finish cooking the meal. It's pretty straightforward. We leave our meals in a certain section for Skip the Dishes to come in. There's a number written on them, the last 4 digits. And as they pick up the meal, they have to notify Skip the Dishes in the app that the meal has been picked up.
Okay.
So we do know it was the Skip driver who, in fact, picked the meal up because it relays right to the customer.
Okay, so this wasn't somebody pretending to be a Skip the Dishes guy. This is the real deal.
Yeah, exactly.
All
so
right.
he logged in and he picked up the meal, and my staff member actually thought it was a customer in the dine-in section that stole the tips until she called us, and I was like, that doesn't seem right. Like, somebody stole your tips. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
And went back on the video, and sure enough, yeah.
So this was kudos to you, by the way, for having good quality video equipment in your store, because we see so many of these fuzzy pictures from security cameras that you'd hardly ever be able to identify anybody from them. So good for you to have decent equipment in your shops. That's terrific. Now, we would think that, here's the deal, Skip the Dishes driver, they confirmed that, this guy that picks up things from you works for us, so we know that he is a Skip the Dishes guy. They know his name, and so one would think, meaning me, that it would be easy to get this guy. Apparently not so much.
Well, when we get the order coming through, it'll tell us the first name of the driver. It won't give us his full name. But the moment he clicks picked up or it has been delivered,
right?
And of course, by the time I had gotten on the cameras and gotten that, it had already moved to delivered, and I can no longer get the name of the driver. I actually have to go through Skip to get that.
Okay.
And due to privacy rules, they will not give that to us. So I contacted the police.
Right.
And they've taken it forward. They asked me if I want to press charges when we get the name, and of course I do, because I'm fed up with this happening just in society in general.
I get
and
you.
Enough is enough. People work hard for their money, and if you're not, he's getting his tips on the back end. Customers actually go in and they actually leave a tip for the driver.
Mm-hmm.
And my staff, they don't see that. That's for the driver. Sorry, lost my train of thought there.
No, it's okay. Well, we were talking about the fact that you are kept from knowing because of privacy issues the name of this guy. So Skip the Dishes cannot, I guess, legally give you his name. So how did, and we found out today, apparently now he has been identified. How did that happen?
Apparently, a person on Facebook or Niagara 411, I'm not sure which one it was yet, has contacted my wife and gave him the individual's name. I haven't received it yet, and even if I did, I wouldn't say who it was until police confirmed it was actually him.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, when I contacted Skip the Dishes initially, they told me that they're sorry to hear that, and that person is now off shift, so they'll look into it when he comes back on shift if he does. And I said, well, that's not acceptable. He was just on shift. He's got a cell phone because he operates on it. You give him a call. And they told me that they couldn't, and if I wasn't happy with that, to go ahead and make a police report with the proper authorities.
Which you obviously did.
Yes. Immediately I had called them, opened up an incident report. Of course, because of how busy Niagara Regional Police was, or is on a daily
basis,
daily for calls, I waited till 8:30. Then I told them, hold off on the queue, and I went in the next morning to the actual headquarters. I met with an officer there. He took all the notes, and I'm still waiting to find out whether or not Skip the Dishes has even responded to his request.
Okay. I would think, again, I'm saying we, normal thinking people would think that Skip the Dishes would get in touch with this guy and say, sorry, pal, you're not picking up food anymore for us. We're done. But that obviously hasn't happened either.
No, that hasn't happened, and that's pretty much my expectation of it as well. Because, yeah, we always have an employee out front.
Right.
But when I'm dealing with a third-party company, my anticipation is that they're going to send somebody in who is going to be respectful and leave my employees in a safe situation.
There's an old phrase that I don't even hear it that much anymore, but bonded would be a word, and I would think that something like sorry, I got to stop saying I would think. One would think. Obviously, things we try to make sense out of this society today. You made reference to the world we live in, and I guess just a lot of it doesn't make sense. But the word bonded used to pertain to people that had security checks, or were, they're underwritten by the company to be honest and true, and they're, and forthright and all the rest of it. And a situation, wouldn't you think, like Skip the Dishes, where these people are coming in and out of establishments all the time, one would think that would be something that would be important to them.
You would think, yes. Especially going to seniors' houses, or anyone that is able to be taken advantage of. You would want a good working relationship with all the businesses.
So, Stephen, let me back up.
Sorry. I just want to say that this is only one Skip driver, right? We've got a lot of Skip drivers that we deal with that are absolutely amazing.
Yeah, totally. I mean, just because one person is prone to do this, we're not trying to tar the company. It just seems that they would be more forthcoming with information because they wouldn't want this to harm the reputation of their company. But I suppose we just live in an age where you can't besmirch somebody's character or you get in trouble. Now, let me go back a bit, because we were under the impression that the cops had this guy. Is that not where we are?
They don't have him yet, that I know of. I am just actually on my way to see hopefully see the police officer to find out where they are with Skip the Dishes.
Okay.
I have requested to press charges.
Okay.
And that, obviously, they asked me if I'm willing to go to court and miss a day off work, and hell yeah, I am.
I don't blame
Let's
you.
go.
Good for you. Good for you. Because a lot of people will take the easy way out and say, I don't want to get involved. I don't want to be bothered, etc. But good for you for doing that.
He was way too comfortable.
Yeah.
It's not obviously not the first place he's done it,
Yeah.
but hopefully it will be the last place.
Well, in the video, it was kind of strange because he took the tip jar, the cup or whatever it is, and he dumped it into the cooler,
Yeah.
and then put the whole jar in. So he must have had second thoughts about, I'll just take the whole thing, and I, for the life of me, I don't know what that, because here he is. We're showing this. You can't see it right now, but we're showing it on the screen. So he sort of tips it up and then puts it in the thing. And as you said, it looks like it's not the first time he's done it. He's so nonchalant about it, you'd think it was part of his job to do that.
Well, that was one of the things that I had said to Skip when I was angry. I said, as far as I'm concerned, he's your employee. I'm going to take a guess that your employee does as he's told. So did you tell him to take the tips? Right? Trying to get a reaction out of them to move things forward a little quicker.
That's something. Well, listen, Stephen, if you're still around in a little less than an hour from now, and you have an update after your meeting, if you're allowed by the law enforcement people to do so, give us a quick shout back and give us an update, okay?
Okay, I will.
All right.
Thank you for your time, and thank everyone on the website for their help.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you just did. Thanks, Stephen.
Okay. Have a good day.
You too. I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. That goes back to that old movie called, I think it was called what? Newsroom? I think that's what it was called. News something. Stephen Nicol, owner of Beamsville Fish and Chips, 3 locations, Beamsville, Welland, and St. Catharines. Kevin, I still don't believe what I see. But he doesn't even look nervous.
No.
The girl the employee is in the kitchen cooking up an order, and it's just, okay, thank you very much, off I go.
Yeah, it is pretty ridiculous. I mean, how much could have been in that tip jar where this guy's basically willing to throw away his career at Skip the Dishes? Like, I guess they could just move on to something else.
Is driving for Skip the Dishes labeled a career?
I know, but still, I mean, he's working there, and a lot of people make their money either driving Uber or driving, Skip the Dishes or what have you. So if that's a good source of income for you, why would you throw that all away for, $20-$30 in a tip jar? I don't get it.
Well, hopefully Stephen will meet with the officer that he's destined to meet with or appointed to meet with, and be able to get back to us before the end of the show to give us an update. I just think it's just off the charts, astounding. But again, to go to his point, there are a lot of people in this world of ours that are kind of fed up with it. I've had enough. When is enough enough? I'm not going to take it lying down this time. I'm going to step up. I've had enough. But you have to step up through legal channels like Stephen has done. You don't turn into a vigilante society, because that doesn't solve anything. But we've had enough of this crap. And like people that steal Amazon packages, the porch pirates, and just the low-level thinking of some members of our society. I say some members of our society that they don't deserve our time anymore. Just go someplace. Go away.
I mean, here was another one, Lee. This is coming through Niagara 411 about 3 or 4 days ago. And this is a different approach where the guy went into the gas station to rob it.
Yeah. And
then the worker there fled the gas station, locked him inside. Did you read this one?
I heard about it. Officers attended a gas station on Queenston Street near Page. That's down near the old hospital. The initial investigation determined that a male suspect had entered the store and selected $47 worth of merchandise. The suspect threatened the clerk that he had a weapon. The clerk fled the store, fearing for their safety. Okay, sure. But not before locking the suspect in. I didn't know you could lock people in. The suspect, in an attempt to escape, began trashing the store. The suspect was set free and ran from the area. NRPS Real-Time Operations Center was able to track the movements of the suspect through a network of CCTV cameras in the area. Officers were directed to the suspect's location in the area of Geneva Street and Church. Well, he didn't go too far. Did not flee too far from the scene. At 9:35, the suspect was located and arrested. Merchandise from the robbery was recovered at the time of the arrest. So there you go.
And I guess what they mean by that is the real-time operations center through a network of CCTV cameras. So those are the cameras that they have pointed downtown.
Yeah.
And I guess they looked through their array of cameras and said, oh, there he is.
Yeah.
There he is. There he is. And oh, look, he just went into that residence.
Right.
So go knock on that door, see what you find.
And I mean, I don't think I'd want to commit a crime of out in public anywhere these days, because these cameras are, and it's a good thing, I guess. These cameras are everywhere. We were just got back from the United Kingdom a couple of weeks ago, and of course London and the UK in general, I guess, but mainly London area is got the reputation of probably the most complex and effective network of CCTV facilities like in the world. How anyone would want to commit a crime of any sort in public in a place like that, I don't know. I guess desperation leads to desperate acts, but that's good.
Yeah, now,
I'm glad we have those cameras.
Here's another one, Lee, where I don't think they got the guys on camera. But, you know, it probably leads right into the interview that we're going to have with St. Catharines Fire Chief. But did you see the decommissioned fire truck that was just abandoned in Feulled? It's a bit of a bizarre story.
We've had some interesting ones, that's for sure, over the last little while. Just abandoned, as Kevin says. So, NRPS again, investigating after a decommissioned fire truck was found abandoned in Niagara Falls, a residential area there. Officers responded to a report of a possible abandoned stolen vehicle in Niagara Falls. Officers arrived on scene on Buckeye Crescent in Niagara Falls. Full-sized fire truck was located parked in the middle of the roadway. Witnesses report that at approximately 1:30 a.m. they saw two persons believed to be youth males exit the truck and run. Did you say youth? Exit the truck and run. The limited description of the suspects is that one of them had a red jacket and a backpack. The truck had damage to the passenger side front bumper, the passenger side windshield, and the passenger side mirror. The driver's side door was unlocked and left open. Niagara Falls Fire Service firefighters were present on scene and informed police that it was a decommissioned truck and not one that was actively being used by a fire department. Officers have been in contact with the registered owner. So the fire department doesn't own the truck anymore? Somebody else owns the truck?
Exactly. That's where it gets really weird. And then in the comments, Lee, it really tells the story. People have said that, yeah, I've seen this fire truck for sale, as though it got decommissioned and was put out to pasture, and I guess they're available for people to buy. I don't know what you would do with a fire truck, but yeah, as in it was not the property of Welland Fire Services anymore. It was just sitting in an empty lot somewhere.
Crazy.
Here you can see some of the comments, and of course these are people in some cases pontificating or hypothesizing, like maybe they don't know, but
that one's funny though. I mean, this is obviously tongue-in-cheek, but that is, Brian, that's funny. Who knows, maybe they were just a couple of teenage Samaritans wanting to rescue a cat from a tree. Looks like they're playing GTA Vice City for real. If they want to stop people from stealing vehicles, et cetera, et cetera.
Sorry, I want to try something
that's all right.
That kind of lends itself to the fact that, yeah, you're right, they don't own this anymore.
Yeah.
Kids out there playing GTA. You've probably never played Grand Theft Auto. But yeah, it's common. You just walk on the street and
no, I've never played it.
Next thing you know, you're hijacking a fire truck and you're driving that around the city.
Wow.
Let's see. Here's one's interesting. Who in their right mind would leave keys in the truck to start with? And then in some of the follow-up to that, they kind of indicated that the fire trucks may not have keys. It may just be a push button, which you could understand. Like, if the guy with the keys is in the fire, then we got to move the truck. Or what?
Yeah.
Everybody has a set of keys. Like, it probably makes sense.
I don't know how
fire.
I don't know how fire trucks work. I couldn't
know
tell
either.
you. Maybe we can ask St. Catharines Fire Chief Dave Upper about that when we talk to him about something else.
Yeah, how they got into the fire department.
How do you steal a fire truck? That is the question right there. How do you steal a fire truck? I don't know. I just don't know.
Here you go. Here's what Carlos says.
Carlos says, wasn't stolen from Fire Hall. It's an ex-Cambridge aerial sold to auction a few years back. It was sitting in Hamilton for sale as of late. All right, so there's somebody that knows, obviously, what he's talking about. Is familiar with what they do. There was a guy in Marketplace trying to sell a fire truck recently. I wonder if these kids saw the ad and decided to take a joyride in it.
That's
Every now and then we get a tickle. I
that
don't
nuts. So, where was the area exactly? They said
Well, I said,
Thorne?
well, but one of those comments said that it was sitting in Hamilton advertised for sale, but I don't know if it's the same one. There's probably others that are for sale.
Okay, it was in Niagara Falls, in a residential area.
Right. Yeah, we
Wow,
read that
that's
at the
crazy.
beginning.
Yeah, no, I missed it. I missed it as to where it was actually dumped. They didn't actually give a street name or anything like that. Like,
Yeah.
imagine waking up to that or being woken up by that. They said they had to bring in a real heavy-duty tow truck to get this thing out of here. So,
I would think.
1:30 in the morning, you're
I
just
mean, it's a truck towing a big, heavy truck.
look out the window and you see some. Now, they said ex-Cambridge. Are there any markings on here?
It used to be, when I lived in Kingston, I had some friends that lived in a small community north of Kingston, and it's where Dan Aykroyd, the comedian and an actor, blues brother, lived. And Dan is famous for having his own fire truck. One of the really old ones, though, nothing as new as that. One of the really old fire trucks, and every New Year's Eve he would go whipping up and down the street honking with the siren going, so yeah, Dan was an interesting neighbor to have. I'm sure not what was intended with this one, but why do you buy a fire truck, Kevin?
I have no idea. I could see it if you maybe worked in the movie industry.
Perhaps, or a very, very small community that has perhaps just volunteer firefighters or something, and they need another vehicle. Just because it was decommissioned, it doesn't mean that it doesn't work. It may work just fine as a fire truck, depending on the community. I'm not sure. But again, I'll try to ask Chief Upper about that when he comes on the program in mere moments. 12:45. He's scheduled to be on here, and while we're waiting for the chief to click in, I want to take this moment once again to thank our sponsors, Gales Gas Bars Limited, and once again they put this up on Facebook as a reminder. We mention this just about every single week, that they are indeed a living wage company, which means that however the matrix are done, however the mathematics is done, if you are a living wage employer, it means that you do pay your employees enough so that they can keep up to date with the cost of living and are able to live and work in their job. The first, and perhaps still mainly the only, petroleum industry company in Ontario to become a living wage operator and employer. So kudos to Gales. Also Rainbow registered over the past year, meaning that they are a safe haven for employees and customers alike of all ilks, all stripes, LGBTQ plus, and however many letters you want to throw in there. So again, leaders in our business community, and it's great that they decide to continue to fuel this program. Niagara 411 Live with Lee Sterry. Virgin Insurance, Mark Shirk, Blake Shirk, and the gang, thank you very much for continuing to support us and hopefully you'll stick around for many, many moon to come. If you would like to do so as well, if you think this is important and you'd like to be a part of it and promote your business, I'm not going to get into the numbers, but the numbers we reach every week are significant. We're over 2.2 million viewers since the beginning of the year, and we've still got another quarter to go. We've just kind of inched our way into October, so thank you very much for supporting us and making it work. Our partnership with Nick at Niagara 411 is really good as well, so we want to thank Nick for helping us to share content with you on this program. And WeeStream, Kevin Jack and Brandon Scram, his partner, formed this, 5 or 6 years ago now, Kevin?
Going on 7, 2015.
Going on 7.
2015, we launched a live streaming company, and who would have thought, that there was even a marketplace for it? And the interesting thing is, Lee, is that we essentially carved out an opportunity for ourselves. Because prior to WeeStream coming along, I can't think of an organization, an institution that we worked with who had previously paid to have somebody live stream their event, their meeting, their conference, whatever it was. And we were able to see an opportunity and fill the niche.
And it's wonderful that almost 7 years, wow, time goes in a hurry, as they say. With regard to that too, I mean, COVID wasn't good for a lot of things, and it wasn't good, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it was good for WeeStream either, except for the fact I guess there's, as they say, every cloud has a silver lining. I'm full of cliches today, but in the fact that people became so much more used to one-on-one video communications or groups in Zoom meetings, or working from home and doing things from a technological perspective. And while a lot of the events that WeeStream would have done went away during COVID, which obviously hurt your business, Kevin, it really did wake a lot of people up to the variety of things you can do with this technology, and you guys do it the best.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, and I couldn't agree more, is that some of the things that we already knew were good or best practices prior to the pandemic have opened up people's eyes and realized that, hybrid events can be efficient, and we can do that for you.
Yeah.
Live streaming my events and also getting the recording that goes along with that. And trust me, Lee, it frustrates me. Last week, we actually did a candidates debate in the Grantham ward here in St. Catharines.
Yeah.
There have been so many debates that have taken place, given all the municipalities in Niagara, then all the different wards, and I'd say maybe 10 or 15% of them have been live streamed, and it's disappointing to see that because it's such an effective tool. And
people do not necessarily want to go out to these things and sit in a hall and et cetera, and that's why candidates debates and public information meetings and these kinds of things that municipalities are involved with, trying to inform the public or trying to engage the public, us, with their processes, et cetera. And so many of those things are really poorly attended just because I can't be bothered. But you don't even need to open the meeting to the public if you live stream. You can live stream it from a closet if you want to.
No, and the best thing is that everything that's streamed, including this program, the recording is left online forever. So, you do a candidates debate, and you got between now and Monday the 24th at your leisure to sit there and watch it and familiarize yourself with the candidates and some of the issues.
And let's say after the fact, somebody says, well, so-and-so said, well, no, so-and-so didn't say, or so-and-so did say, or whatever. The proof, as they say, is in the pudding. It's right there. So anyway, congratulations on your almost 7 years, Kev.
Thank you.
Pleasure to work with you. Fire Prevention Week, we are smack dab in the, I guess we're a little bit past it now, aren't we? 9th to the 15th? But let's talk about it anyway, because Fire Prevention Week should be 52 weeks out of every year as far as I'm concerned. Joining us on the program, Fire Chief of St. Catharines, Dave Upper. Chief Upper, welcome to the show. Glad you wanted to come on and chat with us.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Lee. It's great to be here, and you're not wrong. Fire prevention should be 52 weeks a year.
But I guess we have to have these things designated so we can shine a brighter light on things that are so very, very important. And I have probably 100 questions I could ask you, but you're here with a message. And thank you for your department reaching out to us to say, hey, can the chief come on? And by the way, you're welcome here anytime at all. You don't need our permission. You can just click in. What's happening in your world right now? How can we help you?
Well, this month, as you said, typically it's been Fire Prevention Week, but this year it's Fire Prevention Month instead of a week.
Oh, okay.
And we really want to get the message out. We're trending in the wrong way. We're trending in a pattern where we're on pace this year to have one of the highest fatality rates for the year than we've had in many years. Typically, we're between 75 and 100 fatalities provincially. And in a calendar year. Last year was a high year. We were about 125. And I think after this past weekend, we have 102 fire deaths provincially. And if the trend continues, we'll surpass that 125. And we want to really get the message out. And this is where I thank you for allowing us to come on, is we want people this year, as part of our theme, is to have an escape plan, have 2 ways out, and work with your family as to how they're going to come out of the, whether you're in an apartment building or a 2-story or 1-story home, how you're going to get out, where you're going to meet once you are out. Is there a tree in your front yard, or kind of neighbors, or where are you going to meet as a family so that you can assure everybody is out of the home. Part of that is making sure you have working smoke alarms so that you get early detection. They're cheap. It's, of course, legislated and a requirement in all of our homes and living spaces to have them. And so part of your escape plan is to make sure that you have a good working smoke alarm, make sure that you have ways to get out of your home. And then, and we've had this in our community, please stay out of the home. Don't go back in. Don't go back in for pets. Don't go back in for personal items. Please stay out. And hopefully things will go well and we can get those things for you.
Chief, we have been in the media working with fire departments in all municipalities in which media people work. And the message that you just passed along to us today is the same message. I swear I've been in this business for almost 50 years, and it's the same message that we hear year after year after year. Don't you, after a while, just get fatigued by trying to repeat the message that doesn't seem to get through to a lot of places?
There's no question it's a challenge. I think the piece for me is that continues to motivate both us and our staff is when you see the members of our community, you see, hopefully there's never, injury or fatality, but when you see those things happen and you see the senseless loss in that motivates you to want to try to continue to bring that message forward. We're trying different programs to have people understand and be aware, to try to increase the safety in our community, the public education component. And then, hopefully there is no injury or worse, we just see the senseless loss of their property and everything. And so it's like, hey, we got to find a way to put an end to this and help our community.
Is there any particular traceable cause of the increase in fatalities or the increase in fires? Is it a decrease in owners of some buildings not paying attention? I mean, there must be some sort of statistics somewhere. Like, why aren't people getting the message?
Yeah, I wish we knew, and I'm sure the office of the fire marshal wish he knew as well. It's a challenge we're facing. We used to go every summer door to door and knock on doors. We've pivoted a bit this year, trying to use some different methods. We have an after the fire program, so that when we do have a fire in a neighborhood, we now bring the crews in to do public education through that neighborhood in that block to try to let them know, hey, listen, there was a fire in your neighborhood, and these are, some of our concerns. We have some information for them, and we're targeting it that way as well. And then we're trying to really use the media, use opportunities like we are speaking today to try to get that message out, because I think just doing a mail drop as we've had to do with COVID is getting the message there. We need to really, I think that interaction with people needs to come back to try to get that message.
Kev?
Chief Upper, it's Kevin here in the background, and I've got 2 young children. We've got 2 young children at home, 7 and 8. We've talked about this, about planning your escape. As parents, what are some of the things we should be looking for when we talk about getting out of the house? Like you said, go to a neighbor's. Well, how far away should that neighbor's house be? What are some of the bullet points that you would suggest in planning an effective escape?
I think some of the big things that we need to do is make sure that especially the young kids understand that there's more than one way out. We're creatures of habit, so typically when we enter a building, the way we go in is the way we want to come out. So work with the kids in identifying, okay, if you're in your bedroom and the door is hot and you can't go out that way, how are you going to get out? And that means the window component, right? Hopefully, if you're on the first floor, that's easy. If you're on a second floor, then you have to look at, having a ladder that they can hang out the window, right? Can they open the window and put a ladder down and get out? When it comes to finding a place to assemble or muster, we call it, a neighbor nearby, don't go way down the street. That makes it too challenging. Probably the next door neighbor, unless the fire is significant, to go 2 doors over and keep everybody together. And I think that's another point, keep everyone together.
Right.
We just recently had a fire where we arrived on scene and the father said, we're all good, everybody is out of the building. And 5 minutes later, he came back and he said, I cannot find my son. He may have went back in. So now that changes a lot of things on scene for us. We go into, we've already started a primary search of the building. So now we're back into rescue mode.
Right.
Fortunately, the child had just wandered off and never went back inside. But of course that,
but the father did.
Yeah. So that's where keep everybody out, keep everybody together. And if you can go to a neighbor's or you go to your tree or wherever you choose to go, those are big things. The other thing is practice it. It's one thing to actually say it, but practice it. We've got a class of new recruits right now. We call it the 2-minute drill. I'll come into the training room and I'll scream 2 minutes. Got 2 minutes to run out onto the truck floor, get into their bunker gear, and don their breathing apparatus. And we time them, and they have to have everything on. So practice that with your family. Like, you don't have to holler at them, but say, okay, we've got 1 minute to get out of here and assemble. And the fire is in the kitchen. How are we getting out? Are we going through? Maybe there's a patio door through the dining room. Maybe the front door is available.
Right.
But practice getting out.
Chief, how many firefighters, now I know you're St. Catharines fire chief, we've got 12 separate municipalities here in the region, which makes it fairly complex. But how many firefighters actually are on the payroll here in St. Catharines under your command?
Now, this goes across all 4 units. We have fire prevention, communications, our training unit, plus our firefighters and the suppression unit. So there's 166 in total, but riding the trucks in the suppression unit is 134 when we're at full complement. So, I mean, we have obviously some retirees. As I spoke to, we're in the middle of a recruit class, so once they come on the trucks and we get to full complement, we're 134.
Is that enough?
Well, you always want more, right? Is it enough? I'm going to say in our fire master plan, we identify that we need to have a fully staffed aerial, which would add 20 firefighters to our complement. I think that goes hand in hand where we're seeing so many high rises being permitted from the building and planning folks. We've got some big towers coming downtown where we've got 30 plus stories happening. And I think once we see these towers start coming into our community, that's where that fully staffed aerial is going to become a critical piece of our...
That makes perfect sense. Now, and I know most landlords are totally in compliance, and I don't want to cast any aspersions on that segment of our society. However, if someone is, and they're not the owner of the property, if someone is renting or leasing or whatever, and they have a concern about the safety in regard to fire in their building, will you come and investigate that? Will you take, how do those complaints get handled?
Thanks so much for asking that question. If you are a renter and an occupant in a building and you're not the owner, and you have any concerns whatsoever, please call. You can call directly to the communications room. The number is 905-684-4311, and then file a complaint with our fire prevention office. We will attend, and we don't do an investigation. They call that an inspection.
Mm-hmm.
We will come in and we will inspect to make sure there's things like working smoke alarms, making sure that if there's any bedrooms in the basement, that the window sizes are appropriate for means of escape. Make sure that the doors are properly coded with regards to, depending on how many people are living in the building, you may require self-closing doors. But the message here is to call directly to the fire department and file your complaint with the fire prevention unit, and we will come up and see you.
And then let's say that there are a couple of conditions that need to be remedied. What sort of time frame is allowed to remedy these things?
It depends on the scope of the work. I mean, if we're talking something as simple as smoke alarms, what we would do is we would connect with, we would reach out to the landlord ourselves, have them attend the site. Either they would put them up immediately. We have them on the trucks, so we would put them in for them. So that type of thing can be done immediately. If the fire prevention officer is on scene and it's, we're talking about some structural work that needs to be done, you need to put in some doors, something like that. That's when they start having conversations as to timelines with regards to how quickly the work needs to be done.
Okay. Because I know that in some cases, people get frustrated with raising issues, not just fire-related issues, but various issues that aren't addressed. And it's good to know that they can come directly to you and don't always have to involve a third party. So that's good to know. Let me ask you this, completely off the charts of this conversation, but we have you, so I'm going to exploit the opportunity.
Sure.
We just did a story a little bit ago, you might have seen it, maybe not, but about a fire truck, a decommissioned fire truck. Was in Niagara Falls somewhere, and it was stolen by a couple of young fellows, joyriding or whatever. And joyriding in a fire truck isn't something that you often see or hear about, but in this case it was. What happens when a fire truck is quote unquote decommissioned? How does that happen? How does that work?
Sure. Well, how that happens is, as the trucks age, there's a replacement schedule that we have. 20 years is the lifespan of a fire truck, and once we replace the truck, it comes out of service, and the new truck comes into service. And what we do is, there's several things that we've done with the trucks before. We donated our last truck to First Nations up in Lac Seul. And so we had staff members drive it up, and it was a great experience for our staff. We donated the truck with a bunch of equipment, and they drove it up to Lac Seul. We did some training with the First Nations folks up there. It was great camaraderie amongst everybody. We still stay connected with them. So that's one of the ways you can decommission a truck.
That's a really great idea. Sorry to interrupt you. That's really great.
Yeah. And I know the town of Pelham just did the same thing. They just decommissioned a truck and they sent it to a First Nations community as well.
So do you ever put them on on Marketplace on Facebook for sale?
And that's the other way. The other way is it's called Gov Deals.
Okay.
So Gov Deals is the government version of Kijiji.
Okay.
And you'll see all kinds of equipment, like from all different government agencies, depending on, from tractors to fire trucks to all kinds of equipment can be found on Gov Deals.
Who buys a fire truck?
Sometimes the farmers will, because it has the pump capacity to it.
Okay.
So they'll want to use it for irrigation. Those typically are our biggest folks that buy them. And sometimes they even want to use them for protection of barns and stuff being out in the rural area.
Makes sense. So do you have any inside information on this particular fire truck?
I don't know anything about it. I
Of
don't
course
know
you
how
don't.
that happened. I cringed when I saw it. I was like, oh no.
Yeah. Now, how do you start a fire truck? I'm not trying. I really don't want you to try to instruct our people how to steal fire trucks.
Yeah.
That's not what I want to do here. But there was a lot of conjecture on social media about, I don't even know how you start a fire truck. Like, does somebody have the keys? What do you?
I think it's typical of our cars now, right? Just depending on the car. Some of the trucks had keys back in the day. So this particular vehicle, I don't know if it did have a key on it. A lot of times you need to engage the power through a battery switch.
Okay.
And then once the battery is turned on, you could either turn the key or you could press a couple of buttons. And then there's a sequence for the truck to fire it up. So I don't know this particular truck in the model, whether it was key style or whether it was just pushing buttons.
Okay. And Niagara 411 put this post up. I'm going to read it to you now because you probably can't see it where you are. I would just like to say thank you to all the firefighters and first responders who had come to our aid tonight when our barn and house caught fire. I'm sure you're familiar with that story this week. You are absolute heroes. We were able to get all of our animals out in time and no one was hurt, which in our eyes is most important. Our home and barn can be replaced, but our animals and us cannot. Yes, we lost everything tonight, but we are just glad to know that we have each other. Please keep us in your prayers at this time, for our barn animals are homeless and stuck outside. We pray God can help us through this and give us a break. Thank you again to everyone who had helped us tonight. Sincerely, the Deschamps-Sumbler family. So I just wanted to give you the thumbs up from them while we had you on the line, Chief.
Oh, thank you very much. And if I could just build on that, like they said, our possessions, as much as we sometimes cherish them too much, we can't replace the people we love. And so that's why it's so important to us with the Great Escape to get out and stay out, because I always tell the kids this: we can go to Amazon, Walmart, you name it, and go replace the things that we have, but we cannot replace the people we cherish. You can't go to Amazon and get another you.
Indeed. And Chief Dave Upper, thanks again for being here, and send our kudos and thanks to your entire crew. Hope you get your new ship, because we'll all be better off if you do.
Thanks so much, Lee. If I could just end this off and say our hearts go out to the 2 police officers that lost their lives in the line of duty in South Simcoe, and Frank, and thinking of those families and friends and fellow officers at this time. Very difficult for them, and we just hope that everybody is doing okay and that they get through this. Well
said. St. Catharines Fire Chief Dave Upper, again, thanks for joining us. Hopefully this message does sink in and have an effect. Plan your escape and practice your plan. And even if people would do that, and smoke alarms, it would go a long way, even those simple things that can be so important. Chief, thanks again for being here.
Thank you.
All right, come back anytime, all right?
Yeah, I will. I'll take you up on that.
Okay, sure. Whenever you feel the need, you just click on that link and we're here. All right?
That's great. Thanks so much. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, you're welcome. Bye. Fire is so scary and so final, and there's a picture of the property of the people that I just read their post. That's obviously the barn. Don't know how it started, as far as I know. And again, there are always comments and opinions on social media when it comes to these kinds of things, and some of them are a little bit outlandish, so we're not even going to going to go there, and we don't have as of yet, Kevin, that I am aware of, a cause of that blaze, but you can bet fire investigators will come to some conclusion.
In some of the comments, there's an update as well. At the time that they wrote that thank you, the Deschamps and the Sumbler families, they did find some neighboring barns that were able to house the animals, at least on a short-term basis.
Oh, excellent. So that's been updated since then. That's good.
And we're just trying to connect with David Gilchrist here. I'm just, trading some messages back and forth. The scuba guy, because that video that he put out there, and I'm assuming that's all in the Welland Recreational Canal. We'll find out from him. So,
yeah.
So we'll try and get him on here in a minute.
Fascinating things down there. If that video was done completely in our waterway here, like, wow. And Dave Gilchrist is the fellow that we are trying to get in touch with, or will be getting in touch with us, from the Niagara Divers Association. And we'll talk about that video and other things as well. Coming up as a musical artist, we always have a Niagara-based or a Niagara-originating musical act to, as I like to put it, play us off the stage at the end of the program. Sea of Gold and Burgundy is the name of the artist, and the song that they're going to do for us today at the end of the show is called Ghosts in These Walls. I think that's a great title. I haven't heard the song yet myself, but I love the title because if you look around, they always say if walls could talk, my goodness, what they would have to say over the years, no matter what walls they are. So Ghosts in These Walls. I think it's a very, very cool topic. And again, before we move forward, I want to thank Gales Gas Bars Limited for fueling this program. They continue to do so. They have done so almost since its inception. So to Jessica Friesen and your entire staff, again, thank you for your support here of Niagara 411 Live with Lee Sterry. Verge Insurance Group, as you'll see their logo at the top. Again, another Niagara born and bred and maintained and employing Niagarans company. And there are a couple of sponsorships open. If you want to get in touch with us and discuss that, by all means do so. Just send us a note over Facebook.
Yeah, so Lee, while we wait for David here, I mean, gosh, just these fire departments continue to be in the news, and I guess overnight they're investigating now some mischief and some vandalism here at the Grimsby fire station. And this is just coming through Niagara 411.
Just coming through now?
Yeah.
On September 15th, so this goes back about a month, they responded to a mischief complaint at the Grimsby fire station, located on Ontario Street in that town. Upon arrival, they determined that 3 fire department vehicles and 1 sign had been vandalized with red spray paint. The damage is believed to have occurred during the overnight hours on September 14th, 2022. Again, a little over a month ago. The suspect left behind a single canister of red Rust-Oleum caliper paint. Detectives are appealing to members of the public, obviously, for assistance. And there are some pictures of the vehicles in question you see on that sign. But
This looks like
Kevin,
a heart.
yeah, it does look like a heart. And then that's on the back window of the truck. If you're going to vandalize something that's already red, I wonder why you used red paint. Not that I'm trying to give people any ideas, but still. I wonder what their motivation was for that. And that was a heart on that sign.
It appeared to be, yeah.
What would the motivation be for that, I wonder? Other than just
Senseless vandalism?
Yeah, senseless vandalism, I suppose, is the obvious thing. I'm just wondering if it might go a little deeper than that. But I don't know. 1 week from Monday is Election Day here in Niagara. All of our municipalities electing councillors, school board members, mayors, and that goes for regional as well. Kevin, the regional chair, is that I know there was great debate before the last election as to whether the regional chair would be going forward an elected position or it would remain nominated by the other councillors, which is how they used to elect their chair. or appoint their chair was a vote of the 30-plus councillors of the region, and the winner takes all. But is it on the ballot this year? I haven't seen an advance ballot, so I'm not quite sure whether the regional chair is actually on a ballot this year.
No, I think they just stuck with the status quo. Which
They stayed with the old system?
Yeah, which, and you know, I mean, it gives somebody else hope, because if you come just below the cut line, like in St. Catharines, I think there are 6 or 8 regional councillors.
Yeah.
So if you finish, one spot out of that, and let's say Jim Bradley once again was elected regional chair, then that person that finished just below the cut line gets bumped into an open spot.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think there's any perfect system. Be you appointed or be you elected, it can still be a bit of a popularity contest, no matter whether it's public or in-house as it is. So anyway, we've got 12 municipalities plus the region, so we've got 13 levels of government that represent us in Niagara. And it's a week from Monday that you go to the polls. So make sure you get out there and vote. Don't take anything for granted. Vote, 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 vote. Vote early, vote often. That's a bad joke. Anyway, what I wanted to say also to our candidates from around the region, for all of our municipalities, including the region, is that if you have something to say, if you have something with which you would like to promote yourself, by all means, you're more than welcome to contact us. Click on the link in the post and come on and do so. We're not going to say no, but we're not going to chase you either. Traditional media will, because they are legally bound to do so, will reach out to candidates and then make sure that they are trying to reach out to all candidates, or as many as they possibly can, depending on the office, et cetera, that they are running for, because it's what they're bound by their licensing to do. But we are not. But we like to still kind of operate on the same wavelength of ensuring the fact that we try to be fair and transparent with this program. And so that's why we're not going to reach out to the politicians that are running or the politician hopefuls that are running, because there's just so many that it would be almost impossible for us to plan something like that. But we're not going to turn you down either. If you want to come on, it's entirely up to you.
Now, Lee, through the magic of technology, we're able to connect with David Gilchrist. So I want to bring him on the show and also share this video at the same time.
Yeah, let's do
incredible.
That. Hello, David.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I'm glad we were able to get connected.
Yeah, we are. we are right now showing a video that did you send this to Kevin? Kevin, did David send you this? No. Where was this video shot that we're watching?
I had posted it on a couple of different places, but it was filmed at the Welland Scuba Park, in the old Welland Recreational Canal.
So all of these.
That's the one you're showing.
I'm sorry?
If that's the one you're showing, because I can't see what you're showing.
Yes.
And then Kevin got in touch with me, asking me if I could talk about it.
All of these artifacts are actually in, you call it the scuba park, in the Welland Canal Recreation Area?
That's correct, yes.
Wow.
And most of the ones you're seeing there have been placed there by divers. As a bit of an attraction. All right. The park itself, I think people started talking about it maybe late 2008. And by May of 2009, the manager at that time got divers involved. There was one gentleman, I think his name was Cliff Robertson from Welland, who was a diver. And then the Niagara Divers Association got involved as well. And some of these objects were placed on purpose in the park.
Okay.
As an attraction to divers, but now it's a safe area to dive, and we see a lot of divers being trained. They'll come here to do their open water checkouts because it's an enclosed area. safe to dive, and things to see.
Well, it sure looks like there are a lot of things. Did I see a submarine down there? An old submarine?
All right, one of our members got a tank donated, one of these old propane tanks donated to him by one of the dive shops.
Okay.
And he fashioned this conning tower onto it with a periscope, and at one time there was a propeller on the back, and so that was sunk in place as well. And it does, when you come across it, it looks like a small mini sub.
It sure does. It kind of gives a whole new meaning to that old phrase we used to say, let's go to the Welland Canal and watch the submarine races. I don't know if you ever heard of it. So now, if you are an accredited scuba diver, like your ticket or whatever, can you just go there and dive, or do you have to make an appointment? How does that work?
No, it's you can just pull up there. Where the old Lincoln Street docks area used to be, there's an area that used to have boat ramps, and that's no longer used except in emergency purposes.
Okay.
So we park along the side there, and we can get our gear on and enter the water. And there are a lot of guidelines that our group has put along the bottom there, so divers can safely follow them to the boat and then to the sub. There's several cars that are sunk on the far side, not by us. Someone's driven them into the canal years ago. And there's 3 or 4 of them in one area and a couple more further on. So you can explore them. And a lot of fish life and types of marine life, freshwater sponge. I've seen turtles there and things. So it's a very interesting area.
It looks like it's absolutely fascinating. So, Dave, help us out, because I know people, a lot of people have an interest in diving, because when you see people actually engaged in that activity, you say, boy, I think I'd like to try that. How do we do that? I'm assuming as a member of the Niagara Divers Association, you can tell us how we can learn how.
Well, there are several there are 2 local dive shops in St. Catharines, Dan's Dive Shop and Lighthouse Dive Shop, that offer training. But we're finding that a lot of the dive shops from out of the area, Oakville, Toronto, Hamilton, they're training in pools, and then they're bringing their open water divers down to the scuba park for their in-water training.
Now, do other municipalities...
Dive shops are probably the best place to go.
I'm sorry?
The dive shops, the local dive shops, are in your area.
And
the best place to get it.
Does that include other municipalities as well? You mentioned St. Catharines, but like Niagara Falls, Niagara on the Lake, Fort Erie, Welland?
No, there have been shops there in the past, but currently there only seem to be the 2. Now, there may be independent instructors that I'm no longer familiar with doing this too.
So if I want to... let's talk about investment, because sometimes that'll put people off too, because any activity that one has, there's always some sort of a financial investment. How much is, I've never been a diver in my life, let's say, and I want to become I want to learn how to scuba.
Yeah.
How much is it going to cost me, including equipment and lessons and all that?
As with everything, the price has gone up. I would say anywhere between $2,000 to $5,000 these days. You might be able to get good used equipment. There seems to be a lot of that around, but you have to be wary of what you're buying and get it checked out. But I'd say these days in that neighborhood, depending on how much you want to do.
Yeah, of course. And all of these dive shops have all that information and all those things.
Now, Lee, I'm just going to interrupt here. And David, I mean, speaking of equipment, and maybe you're going to ask this, Lee, I see in the video, and I think this is what you had your GoPro attached to. It seems that you guys are cheating now. You got like little propellers down there. How commonplace are those?
Yeah. My friend who's in the video there, Francois, he has 2 scooters. One that he uses himself, and he loaned that one to me. He says, and I'm always concerned because I like to go down and take photographs. And he says, well, you can attach your GoPro right to that. And I said, I can. And sure enough, there was a little mount that I attached the GoPro to. So that's the first time I've used it. on the scooter underwater, and it was fantastic.
Boy, that looks like an old submarine. Whoever outfitted that oil tank did a pretty.
Yeah, that was Chris Corfield, and he did an excellent job.
Okay, did a pretty good job, because it's once it's covered with all of the growth, etc. It could be whatever your imagination says it is.
That's right. Yeah, especially when you see it as you approach from a distance.
Yeah, I'll bet. How deep is the
average
area?
deep depth is around 34 to 35 feet.
Okay.
So it's a safe depth for new divers, and all of us at times need to practice things. This time of year we're changing from wetsuits to dry suits, so we get in a couple dives there to get the kinks out and master our skills in a different suit and things like that. So it's a very comfortable area.
That's neat. So what is the role of the Niagara Divers Association?
Oh, we're an organization that's been around for a number of years. We welcome new divers into the club.
Mm-hmm.
There's a number of dives that we do throughout the area throughout the year.
Right.
We're probably going to have a pumpkin dive coming up at the end of the month.
A pumpkin. Okay.
Yeah, we actually carve pumpkins underwater. And sometimes we cooperate with another local dive shop to do that. I'm not sure exactly what's happening this year. But we also host, for a number of years now, well over 20, we've been running a shipwrecks show, often at Centennial High School, which is I think it's the biggest in Canada. We get upwards of 500 divers coming to watch a day program.
Wow.
People that we bring in to speak about primarily shipwrecks and diving.
I have an idea for you before we let you go. To increase the interest of younger people in your activity, you need to have somebody build a SpongeBob SquarePants community underneath there.
That's right, yeah. That's a good idea. I'll take that under advisement.
All right, we're going to go. Thank you for the wonderful pictures in the video and the information, Dave Gilchrist, and hopefully we'll chat again. If there's anything coming up in the near future or whatever, let us know. Keep in touch with us.
All right, thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Take care.
Okay, so to Stephen Nicol, owner of the Beamsville Fish and Chips stores in Welland, Beamsville, and St. Catharines, thanks for being here. St. Catharines Fire Chief Dave Upper, always a pleasure to chat with you. Dave Gilchrist, who we just said goodbye to, thank you. Gales Gaspars, thanks again for your continued support. Verge Insurance as well. Nick at Niagara 411, always appreciated. Kevin, as per usual, you did a masterful job on executively producing this show. Always a pleasure to work with you and WeeStream. Thank you to our other Kevin Feulled at Beau Chapeau for, obvious reasons. And A Sea of Gold and Burgundy is going to play us off the stage here. And the song is called Ghosts in These Walls. I'm Lee Sterry. Thanks for being here. Episode 39 coming up in a week. Bye.
Tonight, but it's been so I've been getting back to habits that make winter slow. We all know in this cold nothing grows in our souls, and it's harder alone. I thank God I found my friends again. Friends again. I thank God I found my friends again. Friends again. 'Cause there's nothing else that could help, no medicine. for my depression. There's ghosts in these walls, and I've been guilty of their judgments long after the falls. We all know in this town something wrong's going down, and we just turn away. We all know in this cold nothing grows in our souls, and it's harder alone. So I thank God I found my friends again. Friends again. I thank God I found my friends again. Friends again. 'Cause there's nothing else that could help, no medicine for my depression. Something wrong's going down.